But thank you. And also, one other question I want to ask you. In my municipality, we got the state to take the enterprise zone that the state had and overlay it on our airport. That would give tax incentives to businesses to locate at the airport and bring industry and jobs. If there was a way to consider that, you should try to make that happen with the state, an enterprise zone at the airport on a certain portion of property. The industrial park she's talking about, or anything, would be an amazing.
There's a bunch of issues with this airport, whether you're aware of them or not being born and raised here.
Right.
We don't have airport zoning out there.
Right.
The airport was built by the military, and then it went down, and then they donated to reverted back to the county.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people moved in next to that airport when it was dormant and not doing anything.
Right.
And now to adopt airport zoning, which is required by some of the stuff that you're talking about, would mean displacing a lot of these families that live along the exterior perimeter fence of the airport. There's a lot of issues that what you're saying y'all did where you come from that won't work here. That won't work here. So you're not aware of everything that goes on with that airport and how it impacts the people that live around that airport, which happens to be my district, which happens to be within the rim of the airport. And I have to represent these people that live around that airport, so I cannot totally commit to everything that you would do at an airport if it was 40 miles out of sight and out of mind, as opposed to where it's in these residential neighborhoods where people live that was born and raised here. So a lot of things that you're wanting to see, and a lot of these grant monies that you're wanting to do, and a lot of this stuff you're talking about, FAA and FDOT and all this other stuff, has a lot of adverse effects on this community if you go about it the way you're wanting to go about it. And until you learn all of that, to try to come in, and it seems like to me you want to come in and take over the airport and tell the community what's the best for them and all this other stuff. There's a lot more to it than what you're seeing. There's a lot more to this community than what you're seeing because you were not born and raised here. So what I'm telling you is a lot of ideas you've got is good. A lot of those ideas won't work in this community. So you need to be aware of that, and you need to learn some of these things before you jump too far. As far as an airport advisory committee member calling FAA and calling FDOT, which is not your authorization and it's not your role on this ACC committee. That is the duty of the airport manager that we pay money to. Yeah, he does not live here, but this board elected to pay this man and allow him the authorization to run our airport, and he is very knowledgeable, and I think he's doing us a pretty good job right now. But there's a lot that you need to learn, not just airport. This is not just airport country. This is Apalachicola, this is Franklin County. So there's a lot you need to learn and address the community needs and wants and what the community expects of their elected officials, and how we can make. Now we're all up here trying to make. We have the same goal as you do. Let me reiterate that. But we have to go about it the right way because we're elected to represent the people that live around that airport as much as we are everybody that lives in the county, and trying to make all these things work. It's just not a cut and dry the way you like to present things, the way you've presented a lot on two different occasions here today.
Right.
We're all on the same boat. We're all want to generate jobs. There's nobody up there that's going to tell you they don't want to generate them jobs. But it's got to be done right. And it's got to be done with the thinking of the people that you represent, that elected you to represent them.
I understand.
And how all this works, because that airport went dormant. There was no airplanes at that airport. People moved in close to the boundary of the airport. And now you just can't come in and adopt this airport zoning, which is required to gain some of these grant funds that you keep speaking about, and just push these people off the land where they've come in where they've lived for 30 and 40 years. Yeah. So there's a lot of different issues here that you need to learn and be adjusted to and understand where the community wants this thing to go. Because I've had 4 hours elected an official. Right. I've been right here in this room, and people were hollering down here. The whole room was full, just like you seen this morning, saying, shut it down. Do away with the airport. We don't no longer want it. Well, we didn't do that. We're trying to make everything work for everybody. But if we push too hard, they'll be back down here again. And they're going to require these elected officials to shut the whole thing down because you're not working within the realms in trying to balance the issues within the community and the issues with the airport. We've been able to do that. The airport is still open. But they're not going to go for all this stuff that these big, grandiose ideas that you're presenting to us. It's not going to happen. So we have to work together with our community. We don't alienate the airport from the community. If you do, they're going to be down here telling us to shut it down. and it won't be the first time. So, I've allowed you time to speak your mind. I'm telling you,
I understand what
I'm
you're
born and raised here. Everybody up here was born and raised here. They know what I'm talking about, and I know what I'm talking about. So as we move forward, and I think somebody's fixing to make a motion for each commissioner to appoint somebody to this board or to the HCC board. That's the way we did our hospital board. That's the way we've done our planning and zoning board. All these boards, we want representation across the county. I'm gonna have one representative, he's gonna have a representative. Mr. Jones, Ms. Sanders, Mr. Massey, and that's the way it's done. And every now and then, there may be one at-large member on this board, but that's about it. And we try to keep it odd, so if you got 3 people show up, 2 that don't, you still got a quorum, you still move forward. That's been another issue, sir.
Commissioner Parrish, I just want to mention one word to you, and if you'll remember the room packed out here when we did the what?
I wasn't sitting here, I was out there.
The airport overlay. I was here.
You was here.
I was here. The airport overlay. Yeah,
Commissioner,
So we got it. So I agree completely with what you're saying.
can I just address your back real quick? I'm not looking to go from 0 to 100. I just walked into this room and I want to let you know what opportunities are out there, and there is no displacement of people, and there is no signature studies of airports, and we're not talking about moving LaGuardia from New York to Appalachia. We're talking about the only ticket to success for a kid in Franklin County is to leave. And that airport is a great vehicle for success. And I'm not the out-of-towner trying to come and destroy your quality of life. I love your quality of life. And that airport is surrounded by a lot of nothing on both sides. If you have the right flight plans on an airport like that, you could have a noise mitigation study done. You know what the FAA does? They'll come in and they'll give new windows to houses, they'll give new storm doors to houses, but you've got operations right now there from Herbert Air Force Base coming in there all the time. And,
We're aware of all that.
and it could be a great thing for the community. I'm not looking to put you from 1 to 100, I just want to see you have the right people on there, and I'm not looking to destroy anybody in Apalachicola's quality of life. And I live next to a Navy base all my life, and I agree with you, but you put me in the realm of a carpetbagger, and that's not me. I'm looking to help Apalachicola and give jobs to the kid, and especially me with my business trying to hire people. There's no jobs for anybody, and the people that aren't working right now have got accustomed to that, and there needs to be something, Mr. Stevens, an educational facility on that site that could take kids from the high school, my high school, in the senior year, junior year, they would give kids a half day off, they'd go down to the airport, they'd learn aircraft mechanics, they'd learn flight training, they'd graduate high school, they have their pilot's license, and some of those kids are in the military now, and some of those kids are corporate pilots. But it'd be nice if we had another avenue for the kids, and I'm not looking to turn your airport into Panama City. I just was saying you have a great opportunity there, and the not in my backyard mentality. You know what? If you knock on every door in Apalachicola, and I'll guarantee you if I knock on every door and say, here's a way to reduce taxes, bring jobs, it'll be friendly to the community, I guarantee you 99% of the doors I knocked on would say yes. But thank you very much, but I appreciate the time, and I think you're correct in some fashion, but just don't neglect the people of quality that could be on that commission. It doesn't just have to be geographic. If you've got somebody who's very competent, they need to be on that board. Thank you very much.
That's my representative. I'm gonna keep him.
Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna keep him.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr.
You're
Lockwood.
doing all right. He gets a little aggressive. Leave him alone.
A couple of things I want to point out. First, Mr. Puckett does come to every meeting. He's here the second meeting of the month in front of the board. So I want to let you know that he is here on a regular basis. So anything he has, I
got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
With me and Cheryl being on that side of Commissioner Sanders on that side,
You call me Cheryl.
okay, let's be on that side. She gets one because me and her's kind of right there together, can I pick me one?
Yeah, one thing I'm saying, and you have to tell me right now, but it doesn't have to be from your district. They don't have to live in your district. 'Cause like you're saying, if you find somebody.
I don't mind who mine on, Mr.
But they
Dan.
need to have some kind of knowledge about airports though.
Yes, yes, so have something invested in the airport. They have a hangar there or a pilot, something, you know.
No, I mean, I'm just being, I'll take Mr. Ted to be mine, and I'll,
Okay, but again, we're working. I just
Okay.
wanted to know if this is the route that the board wants to take. That's all I was asking. That was a recommendation to the board, and so, send me your names, and we'll have the list as a whole presented to you guys at the next meeting. You guys can approve, you can approve your entire list, okay? Good? Good, all right. Where are we?
Number 5.
Number 5, inform the board that I met with Ms. Mary Gavin and Ms. Janina Forbes of USDA to provide an update on the Weems new building project. I informed them that the board had engaged Community Hospital Corporation, based on Mr. Mark O'Brien's recommendation, to perform a full operational assessment of Weems, which will be presented at your September 19th meeting. I further explained that it is the board's expectation that there will be an at-risk long-term lease agreement between the county, CHC, and TMH in the near future. And it is also the expectation of all parties that the new building project would move forward once CHC was given the opportunity to address the deficiencies found in the operational assessment. Ms. Gavin liked this plan of action, and she also liked the efforts of all parties concerned to increase swing bed programs and increase the rotation of specialty doctors in the county. She stated that USDA records indicate that we are starting the third year of our 5-year timeline, which ends in August of 2020, to begin the project. And there is some documentation that is due, which will be stated in a follow-up email from Ms. Forbes. I provided them Mr. Jim Coleman's number in case they had additional questions about CHC. I talked to Mr. Coleman on Friday afternoon about a number of things. Took him over a week to get back to me. He was traveling a lot, but he's aware that they have his contact information and they will be calling him. Item number 6. Last Tuesday, I was informed by Duke Energy that they filed a settlement agreement with the Florida Public Service Commission, and I quote, that if approved, would pave the way to a smarter energy future of Florida customers. I included an email in your packet that includes some of the major components of the settlement agreement. Mr. Danny Collins of Duke would like to appear at an upcoming meeting to explain how some of these components may directly affect Franklin County. During a conversation before he sent me the email, apparently the city of Apalachicola is looking at a solar powered farm or something to that effect, and that's included in this settlement agreement, so he wants to come talk to you guys about that. Okay, so I can't promise you to be the next meeting, but more than likely sometime in the following month. Item number 7, board action to authorize a letter of support for Big Bend Crime Stoppers as they would act as the county's agent for the purpose of applying for and receiving funding from the State Attorney General's Crime Stopper Trust Fund. The board supported this same request on November 18th in 2014.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
And for the record, I checked with the clerk last week, and she had no objections to that, as far as I know. Item number 8, inform the board that I met with representatives from the Panhandle Players on Thursday, August 24th. The purpose of the meeting was to inform county staff that they are planning to replace the brown stage curtains with new curtains. Based on an agreement with the Panhandle Players, it's included in your packet, and I'm referring to page 14, item E, and page 15, item F. They are required to store and maintain the curtains that they remove in a climate-controlled room for the purpose of reinstallation at a future date. At first glance, the curtains didn't appear to have in any condition for reinstallation, so I asked Mr. Mark Cureton to inspect the curtains closer, and he agrees that the curtains are in no condition for storage or reinstallation. Would the board consider authorizing Attorney Schuler to amend the contract that would allow the Panhandle Players to dispose of the old brown curtains, but ensure that the new replacement curtains are county property once installed? There's also an agreement, there's a time limit in which anything new that they put up before it comes to us. I think if they're going to dispose of the old brown curtains, that time limit needs to go away, and basically, as they install those new curtains, they're property of the county.
Did they pay for?
So, oh, they're paying for that. We're
I
not.
mean, they paid for? They gonna be paid for when they put them up.
Yeah, I think they said at the TDC, they came before the TDC and.
They
was
told us
talking-
that a long time ago at a meeting, when they say put
Yeah.
them curtains, they're gonna fold old curtains up and put them up somewhere if we wanted them.
Yeah,
They
but
said
as you touch them, they just.
I mean, if we was
break
wanting
apart.
them, they said they would.
But they said,
fold 'em up.
I think it was $15,000 or something like that, or something. It's-
You want me to speak to it? I would not speak up. I'm on the board of directors of the Panhandle Players. I'll just tell you really quick. The stage curtains themselves are about $16,000.
$16,000.
But we're also installing blackout curtains that'll go along the side windows. So the total that we're spending on new curtains is around $27,000.
I make a motion that we direct the attorney to get with Panhandle Players or do whatever you need to do to accommodate them.
We have a motion on the floor. by
And allow
Mr.
them to
Sanders.
put the old ones back out.
Second. Wait a phone. I keep on hearing the phone.
Me too, I don't know where it's at.
They keep hearing the phone ring or buzz or something up here.
No, what it is, somebody's tone, every time they get a text or something, somebody's phone is
It's
like.
not me, I don't bring my
Turn it on.
phone.
We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Is that correct?
Yep.
All those in favor?
I-
All opposed? Motion carries.
Now, item 9, inform the board that TDC has submitted the pictures for the Florida Association of Counties 2018 Bodies of Water Calendar Contest. I uploaded the pictures and provided a link so each of you would have a chance to review these pictures. I will submit the pictures tomorrow to FAC for consideration. I'd like to thank TDC for their assistance as they ran the contest locally on behalf of the county. Nice pictures, I don't know if you had a chance to look at them. Item number 10, inform the board that the SHIP program has received a statewide allocation of $94 million. Of that allocation, Franklin County will receive its normal $350,000. Ms. Lori Swicer, the county SHIP administrator, can be contacted if you have additional questions regarding the program. And there's one thing, the finance office asked me to call, to let you all know, Erin called over here. She was notified, I think on Thursday night or Friday, sometime during the day, that the state, in their benevolence, in their wisdom, has given you guys a $1,000 raise. So,
The
yes, sir.
commissioners?
Yes, sir.
I think our base
I want
salary is
two.
gonna be $27,003 now.
So,
Yeah.
she wanted me to let you guys know that now, because as you enter into your budget public hearing this afternoon, that will have to be something she probably have to state or indicate during the budget.
I ain't mumble for 50.
Okay, Mike.
And if you all have nothing else for me, that is it.
I've got something for, Mr. Chairman. One thing, Carabel Beach Park,
Oh, I need to get a timetable for you, don't I? It should be, the original, not the original, the revised timeline had it ending the end of this month, Commissioner.
end of August,
Yeah.
end of
No,
September.
End of September.
Okay, now, you all realize that this project was supposed to have been done before July 4th.
Talking about the bathroom?
Yes.
Bathroom.
He hasn't even got the windows in. I stopped by there
Yeah.
last week. The windows are still out. The door hadn't been put
Yeah.
up. He was still
Door
in there,
hadn't
one
been
little
put up.
thing in there. I've been going checking on it, all it is.
It's awful.
I
But anyway, we need to,
looked at Thursday.
we need to seriously look at that, because, I mean, he was supposed to have been through by July 4th. And what we seriously need to look at is how we're gonna proceed with the St. George Island bathrooms at the county park over there. Because if you all want it before Easter or Memorial Day, we might need to get started on it.
Well, I'm fixing to paint a moon on that at the beach in Carabel. That's gonna be the outhouse.
The restrooms this she's referring to, are actually being done by the state though, right?
But,
No, we're talking about.
We're talking about the county park over there.
Oh, you're talking, okay.
Yeah.
They say about Kevin Beach, I just, been a long day, so.
So Michael,
Gotcha.
what I want you to do is look and see what they're gonna be liable for, because I got the people hammering down me, and so does Commissioner Massey, and they're saying, I hope y'all are not gonna have to pay for everything because they are late on doing the job. So I'm just putting that out there.
Yes, ma'am.
don't they
If he
put
got all the work he gotta do, he'll never finish the end of this month.
He still ain't got that tile in there
Got
now.
tile windows, nothing's in it.
supposed to have a penalty clause in there when they late like
It
that?
does.
They do.
There is one.
It is?
I was hoping when I had the discussion about a month ago about the whole, us having to get him to pay for the extra
Toilets.
porta potties, I thought that would have inspired speed.
It hasn't though, and that's the thing though. And we went through Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day without bathrooms over there, and there's no reason why.
Which we're trying to avoid in the beginning, if you remember correctly, when we started the project.
Bad
Well,
hunt season start because ain't nobody want to use it now.
I make a motion, we write Mr. Polivons a letter and tell him we need that bathroom fixed. In the matter.
Second.
In the matter of 15, 20 days.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Anything else, Mr. Morone, from the board? Thank you, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Next will be the county attorney report, Mr. Schuler.
The only two items remaining on my report to the board is I want to officially deliver to the clerk the original letter dated August 16, 2017. It's a notice of claim and intent to sue Franklin County that was sent to us by attorney Angela Morrison on behalf of her clients. I'm going to put that into the official record. The other item is just to inform the board I have received the original deed from the Florida State University Real Estate Foundation. They're conveying this property to us by quitclaim deed. This property is known as lot number 13, Block V, of Peninsula Point subdivision, recorded in Plat Book page 2 of Plat Book 2. This is a fractional lot, which is essentially down at the intersection of Chip Morrison and Alligator Drive. And when I say a fractional lot, if this represents the rectangular lot, all we're really getting is sort of the northwest sliver, and frankly, we've already been using it because our rock revetments are already on the property. The only caveat to the deed, which I frankly didn't like, that they weren't willing to remove, but they were willing to modify, was a right of entry in reverter, which basically said if we did not leave the property in its natural state, or if we improved it for any purpose other than a public purpose, they could come back and retake the lot. I've had them modify that language a little bit to make sure it's very clear that a public purpose includes public transportation infrastructure, including revetment. So I don't really think they're ever going to want it back, but I just wanted to, I'd rather have a belt and suspender approach and not have to worry about it in the future. So unless the board has any other directions to me, and you're willing to accept that reverter provision as I've explained it to you, I will then need a motion authorizing the chairman to sign the acceptance of that reverter provision, and then I'll record the deed on your behalf.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have to the board, Mr. Chairman.
Next would be Commissioner comment.
I got one.
Okay.
I'm a team player. This morning we had that about the audit on what that is, St. George Island.
Oh,
Moratorium, so I voted against it, but, you know, it passed, so I got to go along with what, I got to do my part now on working on the passport. But what, I guess my question would be to this thing, you know, when you're doing that, now we done that, we own the door right there. We closed the door for St. George Island, but we left the doors open on the rest of the part of the county for the entryway. You know, you got all points. You got points coming from the west, coming from the east, Alligator Point, or St. Teresa and all the rest of them. What are we gonna do about that? I mean, is this gonna be the same for one, or each one of them gonna be different?
Well, Commissioner, your main entrance points coming into the county from either east, west, or north is all ag land. So the difference on St. George Island is you have the ability to have a pretty high development, with a human hand on it.
Yeah.
Your ag land, nothing can be happening, 1 unit per 40 acres, depending on if it's ag 1 or ag 2. So unless you start rezoning property at the entrances of the county, which is certainly possible, you're really not going to see much over there because it's just it's ag zoning right now. St. George Island's got that unique high-density zoning, so to speak, and that's why people are all upset about it.
I'm talking about for future purpose, like down the road.
Well, certainly when you talk about development in the entrance of the county, you ought to consider that, yes, sir, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
I mean, as an example, St. Joe Company owns all the land west of Apalachicola to the
Look
county line.
at, they own 49,000 acres out there on the east.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
And they, what the name of that place they talking about building over there? I had thought at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Like all that, if that ever blooms, we got something set up for that?
Actually, there is. Summer Camp is a PUD and has a lot of guidelines on there already. What happened on St. George Island, Commissioner, I understand your concern for, how it's being treated, is that, I was a county planner since 1988, and when I got here in 1988, the zoning on St. George Island was essentially set. It was what you still have now, except for one modification, which had a lot of controversy, you may recall. We slowly, as no one could build commercial buildings on those little lots, we slowly converted a lot of them to the mixed use, so you get some residential use. Well, personally, I think the residential use has worked well, but it caused a lot of, heartache at the time it went in, because people were saying you're ruining the commercial district. So we're sort of revisiting that issue now.
Yeah, I ain't got no problem with it.
But as this happens every 20 years, just gotta look at things and see if maybe we need some more modifications. And I know what the people are after, no, I shouldn't say I know what they're after, but some of the issues I know are signage, so the whole center of the island isn't cluttered up with signs. People want it looks nice now, and they want to maintain it. It's looking, so I think the issues that are generating all the controversy are not major, structural changes in how the island's going to develop, but more just make sure that it is kept a low density and not just cluttered up with signs and big parking lots and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's tolerable.
Another thing I looked at this morning, a lot of the issues came up. I mean, people we were having one part and they were talking about two
Something else.
people.
I know they're talking about
All the way
They're
around.
getting issues confused.
Yeah,
We're trying to do something, we're not trying to do something.
But Commissioner Lockley, let me tell you something. We've been sitting up here a long time together.
Yeah.
I never have held a vote against a commissioner because we are all 5 commissioners elected to serve the people of Franklin County. Our needs and our wants are the same thing, and that's just to have the best thing that we can for the people of Franklin County. And I don't care if you vote no on me 100 times. I'm still gonna love you. You know what I mean? And so I've learned a long time ago, you can't let votes hurt your feelings, because when I first was up here, if that was the case, we had a commissioner that hurt my feelings every time we voted. But no, it's all part of it. But you know what? We're looking at some good things, because Bobby Miller was exactly right today. Bobby Miller was exactly right when he said, this board is not what I'm worried about. It's the board coming after y'all,
Yep.
after you all are gone. And by right, that is a good thing. So, hopefully we're moving in the right direction with that on the height stuff and
You don't get a board one day and sit up here, don't care about debate.
well, that's what I'm saying. You're gonna have that. You're gonna have that. You got state officials now. You got some state departments, and that's what I was trying to refer in a nice way to the DEP fellow, Mr. Barrett, that was here. Too little, too late. I mean, we got our people suffering. What are they down to now at Winter Bars? Two bags a day? You can't do that. But anyway, Mr. Noah, let me tell you something. I love you and every one of these commissioners up here, and I'll fight the fight behind you now, or in front of you, whichever way you want me to do. But Commissioner Maskey knows about that. But
No, it don't.
But never.
About that.
Hey, when we walk off this board, we friends and we family, and that's what we do up here.
Any other commissioner comment? There being no further commissioner comment, public comment.